After writing 2 transformational books myself and supporting many other beings to do the same, I've become enthralled by the deep and mysterious magic that's activated when we choose to say yes to ourselves and commit to the book writing journey. Of course, we want to inspire change and new perspectives in our readers, but the transformation that happens as an author, both throughout the writing process and by actually releasing your book into the world, is surprisingly potent. I know I've been blindsided in the most disruptive and delicious ways by some of the changes my books have brought into my life. Writing a book is like casting a spell. Although we can never be completely sure what's going to be unleashed during the process, we choose to do it anyway. This Unbound one is a heroic journey. Each book has the potential to be a magical portal, a doorway to a new world, both for you and your reader. Each book has a very specific medicine that it's here to share with us. And each book gives us the opportunity to alchemize the magnificent imperfection of our experience into gold. The truth is that anyone can write a book. We could all get a few thousand words down and put them together. But what fascinates me is what happens when we allow the book writing process to go deeper. When we say, fuck it, get naked and dive way down beneath the surface. Letting go of the shoulds and any need to be acceptable, sensible, or approved of. What fascinates me is what happens when we make ourselves fully available to being transformed by the very act of writing a book. This is Unbound Writing, and this is the process we'll be exploring together here in the Unbound Writers Club. I'm Nicola, author and founder of the Unbound Press, and I help magical beings to write the transformational book they're really here to write at this time. I'm your guide here in the Unbound Writers Club, and the aim of this podcast is to help you to feel supported, encouraged, activated as you embark on your book writing journey. Whether you're a first-time author or have many books out in the world, my hope is that you will find something here to inspire you. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the Unbound Writers Club. It's Nicola here. And in this week's episode, I am answering a question that came up in the Compelling Confidence program recently. We are, as I'm recording this, we're in week 1 of Compelling Confidence, which is a brand new program that I'm holding space for writers who want to really get into momentum with their books, to step into the confident author that they are here to be, and to really express themselves authentically on the page. And that's what this question relates to. The question was, do you have any more tips on how to really connect with my authentic voice? So obviously, that's pretty much what all of my work is around. It's what we're about at the Unbound Press. Writing from the unbound place, like allowing yourself to be fully and freely expressed on the page. And of course, that is easier said than done because we receive so many messages throughout our lives, both from the people around us, from in school, throughout education, in the workplace, from society, media, about how we should express ourselves. So we start to hold back and be in this continual process of like self-monitoring. I think the word that wanted to come there was like moderating. And we're like in this continual process of like moderating what we say, how we say it, like checking in to see like, is this okay? So how do we get back to that authentic place? How do we allow ourselves to write more authentically? And there were 3 tips, invitations that I suggested in response to this question. So I wanted to share them with you. So the first one is to actually experiment with speaking your words rather than writing them. Because like as soon as we kind of get into writing mode, especially with typing, I would say maybe not so much with handwriting, but still it can come up. We can go into this thinky place. Like we start to, it's almost like we can't help editing ourselves in some way when it comes to writing. Whereas when we speak our words and like we're giving ourselves permission, like to speak for ourselves, just for the experience of expressing what wants to come through, or we imagine that we are speaking to like a close friend, a loved one. So not that we're giving some kind of like performance or speech or talk. It's like, I'm just going to allow the words to come through verbally. Then we can get like access our truth often more easily. We're not in such a place of editing, like the very like nature of speaking our words. And obviously, when we are speaking as we would speak to somebody that we feel safe with, where we're not having to be in this process of like checking in, then we can access more of our authenticity. Or, you can try it out. That may not be the case for you. Like it's totally an experiment. What I like to do is if I'm speaking my words, and you can record them on your phone, like as you're going. I generally like to do this, like when I'm out for a walk or something. I will walk and speak and just record what is coming through. And then you can transcribe your words and just notice whether they have a different quality to like your written words. So how is your spoken voice different from your written voice? Is there any difference? And very often, like I say, you will find that you are accessing more of your true voice when you are actually speaking your words out loud. Or you can access different kind of layers of your voice when you're doing that. So it's something to experiment with. We're all different. And like maybe when you come to the page and you're writing, it flows more freely and, it feels more authentic than the spoken word. But just try, it depends on the relationship we have with our actual spoken voice. But it can be something to try to experiment with. Some of our authors at the Unbound Press, I'm thinking of Jo Gifford, who is an author with us and also like an amazing team member. And, Jo, with the first book she published through the Unbound Press, Brilliance Unboxed, she ended up speaking a lot of that rather than writing it because she didn't have like the time to sit down and write. When she initially decided to write the book, she thought she would have more time, and then life happened. So she would record voice notes, and that's how pretty much all of the book came through. So this can be a powerful way, different way to bring your book through and to access different layers of your voice and your authenticity. So that's the first tip, to like experiment with speaking your words rather than writing them. The second invitation is to like invite the quality of too much into your words, like onto the page. So again, very often in life, we have received the message that when we are expressing freely, we're too much. Yeah, we get shut down. And that can happen like with somebody intentionally shutting us down, or we just kind of pick up on the energy of somebody and think, oh, it's not safe. It's not safe for me to express freely here. Like I'm being too much for this person. So again, we like hold ourselves back in like subtle and not so subtle ways. We've got this fear of being perceived as too much. So one of the invitations that we use with Unbound writing, and this is one of the writing prompts that I often suggest, is to like really intentionally and consciously allow yourself to be too much, or experiment with being too much in your writing. Like allow that quality of too much into your voice, into the way you express on the page. Like to write to your edges, to go to your edges when it comes to your writing. And it's like, let yourself go over the top. Be exuberant on the page. Like really say what you want to say. And what I have found both personally and working with many, many, many other writers, other authors over the years is when we allow ourselves to do that, what we actually do, rather than being like actually too much, because what does that even mean? That is when we are able to like really access our true voice, when we play with the invitation of being too much. So that's the second kind of tip, invitation for you. Inviting the quality of too much into your writing helps you to access more of your authentic voice. And the third one is either as you're writing, or maybe when you come back to look at a piece of writing you've already done, just asking the question, like, is this coming from my good girl? Like the part of me that wants to fit in, please others, get it right? Or is it coming from my unbound self? And like I say, you can either do this in the moment as you're writing. Very often, I've had the experience where I've been writing something for one of my books. And as I'm writing it, like it starts off feeling unbound and all of a sudden something shifts. And I notice that I'm starting to kind of hold back in some way. I've started to kind of go into editing mode as I'm writing, being more careful about what I write. And I will actually, when I notice that happening, like catch myself on the page and actually acknowledge it. It's like, no, this is not what I really want to say. And it's when the good girl is kicking in. Again, that's what the whole of my first book is about. Heal your inner good girl. We have been conditioned from the earliest of ages to be the good girl, often to fit in, focus on pleasing others, like be really externally motivated, trying to get it right, whatever it is. And that can creep into our writing. So you can catch yourself in the moment as you're writing. And like I say, I actually like to acknowledge it on the page. I will actually write it. As I notice that happening, when I notice the good girl creeping in, it'll be like, no, I'm holding back here. I'm moderating myself. Like, what do I really want to say? And then giving my unbound self a voice. So you can do it in the moment, or like I say, you can come back to a piece of writing that you've already done. Maybe when you start to move into the editing process for your book, or you're just looking back, reflecting on a piece that you've recently written, and just ask the question, is this my good girl speaking? Or are there aspects of my good girl coming through in this writing? Or is it really my unbound, most authentic voice that's speaking? And you will know if it's coming from the good girl. And then you get to ask the question, what is it that I really want to say? So that's the third tip, invitation for you. So there we go. We have the first one, which is like to experiment with speaking your words rather than writing them and notice the difference in quality. The second is to invite like too muchness, your too muchness into your writing. And the third one is to ask that question, is this coming from my good girl or is it coming from my unbound self? So let me know how you get on with those, like which one resonates most, anything you notice as you experiment with those different tips, invitations. And you can come and find me over on Instagram. That's always a great place. I would love for you just to pop me a DM. I'm at Nicola Humber. Let me know kind of how you get on with those invitations. And like, this is really a practice. It's not a one-off thing where we kind of flick on or switch on our authentic voice and then it's there forevermore. It's something that we continually want to be in relationship with, like just curiosity with, just asking the question, like, is this my truth right now? Am I speaking from a place of truth and authenticity, or am I holding back in some way? and being gentle with ourselves, because it's no surprise that we hold back in all sorts of different ways. That, we are careful about how we express ourselves because often it hasn't been safe for us to be truly authentic, or it certainly hasn't felt safe. So, yeah, being gentle, being compassionate, and experimenting with those different ideas that I've given you today. All right, my loves, thank you so much for listening. I really, really appreciate you. And I will be back again soon for another episode of the Unbound Writers Club. What do you do when you want to write a book, but the usual approaches are leaving you feeling restricted, pressurized, not at all enough, and pretty dry, to be honest? You find another way, of course. And if you are listening to this, my free unconventional book writing guide is going to be perfect for you. It's designed especially for soul-led coaches, healers, and mentors who want to write a transformational book without spending hours on end chained to a desk. In it, I'm giving you my unique spin on the top 10 questions I hear from would-be authors. And it's going to help you liberate the way you write forever. Download your free copy of the guide now over at nicolahumber.com/10, the number 10, 10 hyphen questions.